AER has finally released the third generation of their travel collection earlier this week. I've had a few of the pieces for a little over a month now, and I've been testing and trying and collecting my thoughts. Today we're going to be taking a look at a few of the pieces. The Travel Pack 3, I have both the regular and small size. We have the Flight Pack 3, we have the Travel Kit 2, the Day Sling 3, and the Day Sling Max 3. So we're going to be taking a look at all of these. This is going to be a huge video. Be sure to check the links for timestamps in the description. But before we get into it, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Anker. Anker has been expanding and improving their lineup of chargers for quite some time now. They reached out a little while back and asked if they could sponsor a video and send out their new Anker 521 charger Nano Pro for me to test and try. I've had this for a little while and it has been great. Been a big fan of the original Nano Pro 511 since I received it last year. The new 521 charger Nano Pro is actually a 40-watt charger with two USB-C ports. The great thing with this is that you can charge two 20-watt devices simultaneously and get the full 20 watts of charge. So if you have something like the iPhone 13 that needs a full 20 watts for the fast charging, you can do two devices simultaneously and get the full fast charging benefits. Also, if you have something like a MacBook Air, this can serve as a standalone 40-watt power supply for the MacBook Air. I love having multi-use devices like this in my travel kit just because it makes things easier and simpler and saves space in my bag. It's also worth mentioning I've been a paying customer of Anker's for years and years now, so I was so happy to hear when they reached out and wanted to sponsor a video. They're one of the few companies out there making tech accessories and charging accessories that you can depend on for something that's not going to break down but actually works to the advertised specs that they provide online. So again, huge thanks to Anker for sponsoring this week's video. Be sure to check the links in the description below. Again, this is the Anker 521 charger Nano Pro. Without any further ado, let's get back to the video. I'm going to put timestamps for all of these, so jump around if there's a specific bag that you want to see covered instead of everything. But I'm going to be starting with kind of the main event here, and that is the Travel Pack 3. So the Travel Pack 3 actually comes in two sizes. You have the standard regular size and the small size. These come in at 35 liters and 28 liters. This is my first time using and trying the small size. I do have the Travel Pack 2 in the gray color. I got the regular size, but to be honest, the lighter I get, the more I travel. I tend to find some of the larger capacity bags just a little bit more than I need for most trips. So I love having that smaller option. I love that you have all of the same features between the two. From everything I can tell, the only difference is the capacity. All the features, the layout, the organization, everything is the same. So anything that I talk about with the 35 liter, it's going to be the same for the 28 liter and vice versa. You have a few different fabric options this time around. I chose to go with and try the X-Pack version just because I'm really familiar with the 1680D Cordura that they're also using this year. I have so many airbags with that fabric and I absolutely love it, but I'm also a huge fan of X-Pack. I hadn't tried any of the X-Pack airbags before, so I wanted to get a feel of how they implement it, and it is definitely really great quality. With any of the fabrics, you really can't go wrong. AER builds their bags just to such an overkill extent, not in a negative way, but they definitely just build the bags to last. I've had daily carry bags from AER since 2018 that are still going strong. I've actually given a few out to friends as I've upgraded with newer releases. No issues with any of them yet, and they are definitely my heaviest used bags out of all the brands that I try. So this is the X-Pack version that we're showing today, but yeah, they have the 1680 Cordura in black and a 700D Cordura in gray, which I believe is the same fabric that they use on the previous year's model, which I have and love that fabric as well. It's just going to be a little bit thinner compared to that like really beefy 1680D Cordura, and compared to, you know, the X-Pack is a little bit thinner, but just definitely kind of a different style of fabric. One of the first things I noticed with these is they are definitely a little bit heavy. You know, both the small size and the regular size and any of the different fabrics all come in right around 4 pounds, with the 1680D Cordura coming in a little bit heavier, I think 4.3 pounds. So if you're really concerned about weight restrictions, you know, I know there are lighter options out there, but if you can deal with the weight, the reason they're a bit heavier is just because of how well built they are. So definitely no complaints from me. I think it's light enough not to be problematic. I have plenty of other travel bags that that are actually heavier as well, but just figured I would make a note for those really weight conscious travelers. For pricing, you have the regular size at $250 and the small size at $230, with the X Pack coming in at $275 and $255. So not a huge difference in the fabric cost, but X Pack in general is just a little bit more expensive to source. Getting into some of the external features, something that I really love seeing, you have full water sealed zips across the board on all of the external zippers. It's awesome to see that, in conjunction with the X Pack fabric. This thing is about as waterproof as you would ever need for any sort of normal travel. They do sell and make a rain cover for these as well, but I would say, unless you're traveling to somewhere that's like monsoon season, you're not going to need it if you go with this combo, especially with the X Pack. You have YKK zips on everything. Air zips are always some of my favorite. They're nice and chunky and smooth. You have Duraflex hardware across the board, and just really nice, minimal branding and just really nice finishes. This is a bit busier than some of the other airbags on the exterior just because of all the features, like the compression straps and everything, but I still think it keeps that kind of lower key, stealthier look. You don't want to scream tourist when you're out traveling. It makes you a little bit more perceptible for theft and other things like that. Speaking of theft related things, you do have full lockable zips on all of the main exterior compartment zippers, which is great to see. So you can lock up your stuff and just rest assured just a bit more than you normally would. I don't tend to use lockable zippers, but I know a lot of people love and swear by them, so it's great to see. You do have a few pockets. I wouldn't necessarily call them security pockets, but they're going to be a little bit more tucked away and more difficult to get to. On the side here, you have this pocket here. Now, I wouldn't put anything really important here because it's not a full security pocket, but it's just nice to have some external storage. You have that side pocket there. On the top, you have a quick access pocket. I always love the material that they use on these. It's a really soft touch, a little bit of thickness to it, so you're not going to scratch anything that you put in there. You have quite a bit of space and a little bit of 3D space in there as well. You have compression straps on all four sides, and this is where some of the changes come in compared to the Travel Pack 2. All of the compression straps use their magnetic locks. I don't tend to really care much about compression straps on my bags, to be honest. I do have a lot of familiarity with these from their sling bags. I've been using the City Sling for about a year as my daily carry sling now, and it uses a similar mechanism to attach the main strap. Some people have reported that these are coming undone under load. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to take this out on a proper trip yet, so I haven't really tested or experienced that myself, and like I said, I don't normally use or rely on compression straps anyway, so I'm not really the person to fully test that, but if you're someone that's really reliant on those, that's something worth noting that I've heard from a few different sources. One thing that I did see with the update, you're able to fully get into the main compartment of the bag without having to undo the compression straps. That was a bit of an annoyance for me in the last one, like I said, especially as someone that doesn't really care or use the compression straps. They were just kind of in the way in a lot of bags, so being able to get in there without any issues is great compared to having to undo, and then you have floppy little straps all around and everything. A lot sleeker, a lot cleaner, a lot more user friendly this way. One other addition that they made this year is load lifters. Load lifters just adjust how the weight carries on your back. It can make carrying heavier loads a lot more manageable and easier. I don't typically have really heavy loads when I'm traveling unless I'm doing wilderness backpacking, in which I rely heavily on having load lifters. But for those of you that do have heavier carries, this is going to make a huge difference in the weight. For me, it's nice even if you have a lighter load, just anything to get more comfortable. They do also have loops to attach a hip strap if that's something you want. It doesn't come with the bag, but they are available for purchase separately. It's never something I typically use, and I think a bag for this size, it would be overkill for just about everyone. So I'm glad that they were able to separate that out for the people that don't need it. It's wasteful and you're probably going to pay for it and not use it if it's included. So I love that it is a little bit more a la carte in that sense. In terms of comfort, the airbags are the most comfortable bags I've ever used, and I'm sure it's a person-to-person sort of thing, but I have been saying this since my first airbag back in 2018, and the more bags I try, the more airbags I try, the more bags from other brands I try, it just becomes more and more true. I didn't realize how great I had it from the start. The airbags are super comfortable. I don't know what they do exactly compared to the other brands, but they just really fit me like a glove. Every bag that I've tried from them always beats out anything anything else in the category. So comfort wise, you're looking at a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm sure it's subject to change depending on the person, but I love how comfortable they are. The straps on here are really nice and beefy. You have a bit of padding. They're wide enough so it's not going to dig into your shoulders, but they're not so wide that they're annoying. You have a little bit of a gap here for airflow and some really nice padding for the back here. This is pretty similar to what I've seen in most of the other airbags, and that is why it is also so comfortable. Just a huge fan overall. You do have a sternum strap on here that also uses that same magnetic clip. I think it's pretty strong. You know, pulling here, you can't really, you know, it's that different amount of force with the magnets, but I haven't had any issues with these. I'm not normally a big sternum strap person. These are really easily removable and adjustable depending on where they want to sit for you. You have handles on all four sides of the bags. Really nice, solid, sturdy handles on either side here. On the top, you have this widest and biggest strap. It really has some good thickness and padding to it. On the bottom, you do have a strap. It's going to be a little bit thinner than the others, but I doubt you'll really be needing it because usually you're going to do a horizontal carry or a vertical carry. I love the look of this, especially with the X Pack. It really leans into that sort of minimal tech wear vibe that AER has always had. I love the nice touches. You know, this is the only real visible external branding, and that is even barely visible, I'd say. And you just have the nice little touches like the AER logo on all of the zippers. One last thing before we get into some of these pouches, you do have a water bottle compartment here on the side. Unzips and expands out so you can fit, you know, most 32-ounce bottles are going to fit in here. I tried a handful, and I will say I don't love this water bottle holder. I think it could be better. You know, it's pretty tight for what it is. You know, one thing that I think you could really improve on is this base here to have things fit a little bit more securely and comfortably. And you kind of have a V shape with the fabric, so you lose out on some of that depth on the bottom compared to the top with the way it expands out. I think if they added some 3D shape to the bottom of this, it would really work a lot better with a lot more water bottles. So I've tried like my 32-ounce hydro flask, my Lark bottle with the purification. They fit in here and it'll work, but it's just not a very pleasant experience. If you're okay with something that's a little bit smaller capacity, I actually found that the slim memo bottle fits in here really great. This was a newer pickup of mine to fit in a sling a little bit easier. But if you have like a slim bottle like this, I'd say this is ideal and is not going to be a problem at all. Now this is only 15 ounces though, which for me, while I'm traveling, I like to have a full liter. This is more of like around town during the day where I'm walking around with my sling bag. But if you're someone that is not a hydro homie and doesn't drink very much water, this should be perfect for you. You can even use it when it's zipped up, so it kind of stays nice and sleek. But the water bottle pocket, you know, I feel like has some room for improvement, but to be honest, I haven't really seen many bags do a better job, so I think it's just more of a whole market sort of problem. But yeah, that's something I'd like to see, a little bit more space on the bottom here for bigger water bottles, and just to have it less in the middle of the bag. I know the compression straps are here, but you know, this is just a little bit less elegant than I would like it to be. Getting into some of the pouches though, on the front here, you have a nice pull. AER always does this, these little nice touches I just appreciate so much. You know, you have this so you can zip, and it's just nice and comfortable and easy, not sliding around, because these water seal zips can be just kind of tight sometimes, and that makes it sound bad. They're smooth, but just require a little bit more force. You have this big front pouch here. You're gonna run the whole bottom half of the bag. You know, I wouldn't put anything too important in here just because of the ease of access, but for me, this would make a perfect like snack bag while I'm traveling. I love kind of checking around and looking for a place to put my snacks for the plane. I've actually gotten comments from TSA too. I like to overpack my snacks just to make sure I'm prepared. Getting into the front kind of organizer pouch, something that is nice to see here is you have a little bit more depth to really be able to pull this back. You can see the X-Pack version is an orange interior compared to the normal gray. I'm sure some people will really love this. I actually showed my wife and she thought it was awesome. I would love to see an option in the future of being able to choose the interior color along with the exterior fabric. I know that might complicate things with some of the manufacturing, but for me, I like the more subtle, subdued gray that they normally have on the interior. If you're familiar with any other airbags, they're day bags, travel bags, tech bags, anything, it's going to be kind of a similar layout in here, which is not a complaint in the slightest. And you have some elastic pouches here. They all have a little bit of depth, so you can fit some stuff in there without really having difficulty getting things in and out. You have a nice little zipper pouch here, throw some cables in. And then you do have one huge pouch here that you could throw in an iPad or papers, folders, business papers, as Chase Reeves would say. Just a really nice big pouch here, and just nice, really good organization, as well as a bit of depth. Even though this is a pretty thin organizational pocket here, you can throw in a light jacket or something as quick access compared to getting into the main compartment with all of your compression cubes and all of that stuff. You have something in here and still have a little bit of that 3D pocket on the front here, which I really like to see. Getting into the main compartment, it's really just one nice big open area. This is the smaller size of the two if you're looking for comparison. It just fits better in my video frame here. But yeah, you just have one kind of big open compartment, which I absolutely love. On this side here, you do have a nice little mesh pouch if you need to throw anything in there, but otherwise you could probably fit one large and one medium compression cube, even in the smaller size, or maybe like a tech pouch and one large cube to fit right here. Depending on how you travel, I'd say this is going to be plenty of space for most people. I love that it's one single compartment as well. I think the more wilderness backpacking I do, the more I appreciate just having one big area to throw all of my stuff in. One new addition for this year as well that I've seen in their city collection and a few others, they do have a little pouch here so you can put a smart tracker, keep track of your luggage. I absolutely love that. Not much else to report for the interior here. Lastly, you have the laptop sleeve, which isn't going to have a ton of extra room for much else. It only opens this kind of top third or so, which is fine, just enough to slip the laptop in and out. You have a nice pouch here with a little bit of space and padding. It's also raised up from the bottom, so if you throw that laptop in there, you're not going to worry about hitting it on the ground. So you do have that gap there, which is always a nice little touch to see, and in my opinion, kind of a necessity for any sort of quality bags. But they have it here, which is great. But yeah, you have a little bit of space back here, but I would say this is mainly just going to be a laptop compartment, whereas everything else is going to be in the main compartment. But I think that concludes the travel pack. We can move on to some of the other options. If I forgot anything here, or if you have any questions, leave it down in the comments. Same goes for everything else that we're covering today. Next up, we have the new Flight Pack. My first impression when I got this thing is it is awfully similar and close to the City Pack that came out last year, which I absolutely love. It's my main daily carry backpack when I'm not carrying a sling since I got it last year. I adore that thing. When I got this is awfully similar. You just have a little bit more capacity and a few other features. It's a 20-liter capacity, comes in at 179. The X-Pack version comes in at 205. And overall, this is just a great option for a daily carry. I would say this is for someone that uses a roller bag if you're traveling. If you travel with a roller bag, then you can have this as like a personal item or a carry-on item. For most US travel, this would work perfectly fine as a personal item bag, and then you can use a carry-on roller bag. But I generally just use one backpack, so I don't foresee myself using this on my normal travels in addition to another backpack. But if you do want to, one of the big differences here is you have this nice little side carrying handle. Along with the handle, these straps are actually able to be unbuckled and tucked away, which is one of the big differentiators compared to the City Pack that I talked about with it being similar. You have a little bit more space and capacity here, but you're able to kind of tuck this away and use it as a briefcase. It's just a really nice squared off, sleek look. It kind of fits the same profile as the City Pack, but you have 6 extra liters of capacity. Depending on your use case, I could see this definitely being a much better option for someone compared to the City Pack. pack as a daily use bag or as a travel companion to a roller bag. You can tuck away these little straps here, which is just, I love having these nice little touches to keep the exterior clean, especially with travel bags. Things can get so gunked up with features and little doodads everywhere. I commend that they're able to add a lot of that stuff to these bags and still have it have a nicer, clean look. So the 1680D Cordura, you have a water sealed zip on the front here. The two zips on the top are not water sealed. I would have loved to have seen that as well. It would have been a nice separate differentiator from the City Pack, but still really good quality and they feel great. The regular zips do run a little bit smoother than water seal just in the nature of how they work. You do have lockable zips as well for the main compartments here, just like the travel pack, which is a nice thing to see. You have kind of a similar water bottle pocket. Again, not my favorite style. It's nice that you can zip it up and it's not going to get in the way if you're not using it, but functionally, someone that likes carrying big water bottles when I travel, this is just not an ideal option for me. Going over the last few external things, I tucked them away pretty quick, but the straps on here are really nice and thick and sturdy. You have a lot of nice back padding here, a little gap for airflow and ventilation. Again, the airbags are just the most comfortable. I found this just as comfortable as the Tech Pack and the City Pack and all of the other day bags that I've used over the years. I did a nice big grocery test with this the other day. A lot of times I'll bring a backpack with me to the grocery store because I walk everywhere. So I put all of my heavy stuff in the backpack and use bags for everything else. Carries a ton of weight really, really, really well. I can't stress enough how comfortable all of these are. A few other points for the exterior. You have another quick access pouch here. This thing is gigantic. You could fit a ton of stuff in here. I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max that'll fit in here, along with wallet, keys, basically anything that you want to throw in there will fit just fine, basically. Down here, you have a nice little half compartment similar to the travel pack. Not much else to say here. You have a little key ring if you need it, but otherwise, just simple open compartment. Again, perfect for snacks. Getting into the front pouch here, essentially here you have the travel pack without the main luggage area. So you're able to keep a laptop, organize all of your little things, and you put your main luggage elsewhere. So really similar, if not exactly the same organization here. You have a nice little zippered pouch as well as a big compartment here that runs the whole length of the bag. Tons of options and variety. I love how AER does their organization in these. Back when I used to carry one to and from work every day, every single little bit of this got utilized and I loved it. From here, get into the main compartment. Quick side note, you have the option to use a little side shoulder strap and attach it on. I haven't used it and don't really plan to, but it's there if you want to use this mainly as like a shoulder bag or a carry bag instead of a backpack. Other than that, you have the main laptop compartment here, which is great. Both of these will fit up to a 16-inch laptop, so if any of the newer MacBook Pro users or anyone else, you can be fine with just about anything that you have. You have a smaller pouch here if you want to fit your iPad in there. You also have the smart tracker here like we showed and talked about in the previous. And then you have two little elastics on this side as well. Not much else to say, just a really kind of basic, simple, like I said, this would be an excellent capacity option for a lot of people as a day bag, or if you use a roller bag for flights, I think this would be a perfect addition to use as a personal item where you can put all your tech and everything that you want to keep at your seat with you here, and you have a bag on the go when you get to your destination. I got a pouch and a couple of slings in front of me here. We have the Travel Kit 2, the Day Sling Max 3, and the Day Sling 3. I'm going to cover all three of these, starting with the Travel Kit though. This is essentially just a nice little, you can use it mostly as a DOP kit, I'd say is what it was designed for, but you just have a nice little pouch here with a little bit of depth. I appreciate that the depth is consistent all the way through. One other addition that they included was this hook, so if you do want to hang up your stuff, in the bathroom or wherever you're located, you can hang that. And when you're not using it, you can tuck it away nice. Again, just these little features like being able to tuck this away, but still have it when you need it is just amazing. DOP kits usually always either have the hooks or don't. I've never actually seen them be able to be tucked away like that. So I love and appreciate that. You have a nice little mesh pouch on this side, a couple of elastics to fit a toothbrush or hairbrush or whatever you might need. And then, you can kind of tuck them in here as well. So toothbrush head goes in there, keeps everything away. The lining on here does have an antimicrobial coating as well, so it's going to help prevent some of the smell and bacteria growth. Simple, thoughtful. Couple of water sealed external pouches on the outside, which was a nice additional touch. This is going to be great for just about everyone, I think. You know, if you have a really elaborate DOP kit, you might need something bigger, but for me, this is going to be perfect. I'm curious to see how everything goes. You know, I have my all solids DOP kit that I worked on and showed everyone last year and this year. Made some updates this year in a video a couple months back. Excited to see how everything fits and goes with this. Moving on to the sling though, these out of the newer lineup were the only things that I felt kind of medium about. And the reason for that, I started using the City Sling last year and just absolutely love it. So it's not as much as a fault of these, it's more about my own preference and organization and shape. All of the quality here is absolutely amazing, and I think for the right people, these are the much better option, especially this max size. I kind of joked with my wife the other day, AER is like the Taco Bell of bags. They have all the same ingredients, it's just a matter of what shape that you want. I feel like that's a bit of a disservice because all of the AER ingredients are the highest of quality compared to Taco Bell, but it was just a little funny anecdote I had the other day. Maybe not funny, but let me know if you thought it was funny. Getting into the regular size Day Sling, this is 3 liters. You have a water sealed pouch on the front here. You know, a little bit of depth, but not too much where it's going to get in the way, so you can throw in. This used to be my mask pouch on the City Sling, but no more masks in Oregon, thankfully. But if they do come back, that is where I usually would keep my mask when I'm traveling around and don't need it. And then in the main compartment here, you just have a handful of little spots. You know, this is really great if you want to fit, you know, sunglasses or anything like that, and just a few. And you have a zippered pouch and a few other elastic pouches here. Lots of organization. For me personally, I think the organization in the City Sling is much better utilized for my use case. City Sling's 2.5 liters versus the 3 on this. I think they feel pretty similar. One of the things that I didn't love was the shape of this. Kind of has this triangle shape in the depth. And I think it kind of takes away some of the space or some of the feeling of space. I think doing it this way allows the weight to be carried a little bit closer and better to your body. But I think it kind of takes away from some of the intuitiveness of the internal storage space. This is just my personal use case. I know some people might not have any issues with that. One thing that is really nice to see here, they have the magnetic clasp for the sling strap, so you can kind of clasp it together instead of having to fumble with it around your head. I really like that in the City Sling as well, so I have experience with this for like a year now, and it's great. You do have a security pocket here, which is definitely a security pocket. This was another thing. The City Sling has a similar pocket, but it's not as deep inset, which I'm sure makes it less secure, but it makes it a little more functional. I would normally keep my wallet and keys in there, and I tried doing that in this for a couple of weeks, and it's just so deep. This pocket zip, it's so deep with this extra fabric that it's tough to get into when it's on your body. So take that for what it is. I think that makes it more secure, but maybe less functional. So it all just depends on what you want to use it for. Like I said, these aren't bad, but the City Sling is just a little bit better fit for my daily use around the city. Hilarious enough. Otherwise though, you know, really great finishing, 1680D Cordura. This thing is going to last forever. YKK zips, just everything's premium. It's just a matter of what organization you need between this and the City Sling. Moving on to something with a lot more of a differentiator though, and that is the Day Sling 3 Max. This is essentially just a giant version of this. It's 6 liters instead of 3. Everything is extremely similar to the layout, you just have more space. I think the big takeaway with this is just the fact that you can fit an 11-inch iPad in here and a water bottle. I've definitely been in this situation where I have a little bit too much stuff for a normal sling and not quite enough stuff to justify bringing a backpack with me. I'm on foot quite a bit and don't use my car very often, usually walking around the city everywhere. But especially if you're an iPad user or carrier and have been looking for a sling to fit your iPad in, this is as perfect as it gets, I would say. For me, again, I kind of don't love that the depth is in this triangle shape. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more consistency in the depth all the way through. think that might have hindered the weight distribution when you're carrying it, but I think it would have been a worthwhile sacrifice for me. So yeah, you can definitely fit an iPad in here, a full liter water bottle. I did load this thing up and use it for about a week straight, and it carries the weight really well even when you have it weighed down. I've had smaller slings with less weight feel heavier compared to this, so that's probably a big part of why they did this shape. I think it does make it a little bit more sleek and fits a little closer to your body, which is all a good thing. But yeah, I feel like you lose out on some of the potential storage space in here, which is a bit of a shame sometimes because it's kind of tight when it's full and you're closing the top. Yeah, it's a little snug, but otherwise, yeah, iPad carrier, you're gonna absolutely love this thing, and I don't think there's anything else better. That's the end of the bags from the collection. Huge thanks to AER for sending those out for me to test and try, and huge thanks to Anker for sponsoring the video this week. I really hope that video wasn't a full hour long and I didn't bore you all to death. I always try to be brief with some of these things, but I go into the editing and I realize like I recorded an hour and a half worth of footage and got to cut it all down to something more manageable. So I hope you like this. Leave any questions that you have down below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. I'm sure there are a few things I missed trying to mass review all of these bags all at once. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any plans to order these, I've got links in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.